Hi, this is Tom. Welcome to my channel. I want to show an idea that I thought was really neat. This took me a very short amount of time, just a few minutes. And what it is I saw a website that deals with creating educational videos, which is using AI, exactly what I like to do. And I'm using an idea from this YouTube channel. And I'll show that later, which channel this is. And I'll just go through the idea real quick. So you can see, excuse me, you can see it says on the top there, convert Notebook LM into a stunning website in minutes. So that's the concept. And so what I did was the uh, from the website, I went to the YouTube video rather. From the transcript, there's two basic prompts that were used. And so I just got them from the transcript and I gave them into Gemini. So the first prompt says to review the attached notebook and use the research to design the structure of a modern single-page website and the rest. And so that had Gemini come up with a plan. And then the second prompt is to implement the plan and create the website. So what I'm going to show here is the result of that. So what I'm showing here, I did two iterations. So this was the first result of the prompt that was given. And I should mention that in Gemini, you can give Gemini using these plus here. You can click on Notebook and attach a notebook. And so I attached this notebook called Why the Allies Won. Attached it to Gemini. Okay. And then I gave it the two prompts that I showed you, and this is what it returned. First shot. So it's got a single page here, but you can scroll down. So it's got like an intro section. Then it has the myth of economic destiny, so talking about economic issues. Then the naval battle, and it has air battle, and has an interesting point here. I've read the book a couple of times and didn't recall this. I thought this was pretty neat. It's pointing out that because the Germans had low access to oil, that limited the amount of time they could give to train pilots. And so, as opposed to the English that had a lot more practice before they started flying actual missions, and how that had an impact on how they did, which that was very interesting. I didn't know this. And it conveys the information, very quickly and interestingly. And then had the engine of war, another comparison, and then finally a summary. Okay, so the first iteration was, I thought it would work better as tabbed. So instead of one page where you scroll down, we have tabs. And then I made a couple of adjustments. For example, here you can't see very well to the bottom, a little too much info. And then also on this one, this was reversed from how I'd had it here. So I thought it would work better to keep it, have the graph on the right. So that was the final adjustment I made to get the final version. And then finally, I had the idea of adding Ask Gemini, which is a feature you can have in your browser. And there should be one for, um, I know there's one for Cloud Code or Claude, and there's another one for, there should be another one for ChatGPT, I imagine, maybe some other AIs. But anyway, I just have this Ask Gemini. This is a Chrome browser. And so I can, click on Ask Gemini, and it adds up this frame on the side. And this is a really neat way of kind of adding power to your web app, because I can ask it questions about what I'm looking at. So for example, the first question I ask is, can you infer what you're looking at, including the source? And so it said, this is a local prototype of a single file. It did infer exactly what was going on. And then I asked it to infer the source, and I thought this is pretty funny. It correctly identified the book, Richard Overy's book, Why the Allies Won, but it cheated because it's actually on the bottom of the page. So it saw that, so it got everything right. So what you can do with this is I can click, for example, on, say, this one here. So I wasn't aware of this. So I'm going to just say, so although I read the book twice, I didn't recall the point made here about oil impacting the training of pilots. Can you comment on this some more? Okay, so I'm going to give this prompt here. And then you've got three choices here. You've got pro, thinking, or fast. And so the pro's gotten faster, which is nice. So I can use the most powerful version of Gemini, and it won't take too long. It used to take quite a long time for it to come to, write out a result. But now it doesn't take that long. And here it's got a nice explanation, going into, more detail, right here, about what I was asking about. And this whole thing took maybe half an hour, at the most. So I was super happy about that. And let me go to the YouTube site. I want to give it props here. So it's called AI and Tech for Education. And here, if you want to look at the video that I used, it's called Convert Notebook LM into a Stunning Website in Minutes. And highly recommend this. It worked super, super well. And hope you found that interesting. Also wanted to mention, I never had this idea before. But this is, because what I've done before is, added an AI brain inside the app itself, where it can, reason out information. You can ask it, for more ideas. Let's see if I have one here that illustrates that. I think I do. Right, let's see. Here, maybe. So this Explorer. So that's what this Explorer does. So I click on Explorer. So this is using an AI brain inside, and this is generating content. So I've done a number of sites like this, but I don't know why, but I didn't have the idea of you can just use what's built in the browser, and it can see what it's looking at, and you can ask it questions. And this is just using, your monthly, or you could do this free if you wanted. It's just using the chat box to do this, and there's no, I don't there's no work involved. It's free, a free way of like adding force to your website that you develop. So I thought that was a cool idea. Okay, well, thanks for watching, and until next time.